Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Level 1 News. Today is June 16th, and today we're doing, was it Business and Robot?
It was Business and Robot.
Business and Robot.
Let's start out with some hardware news. The first one is a rumor, and it's on Mac Rumors. It checks out, but this does seem like something that is coming, and it will be, I guess, our first maybe real commercial contender here, don't you think?
Yeah. Apple is going to have its first AR headset launching the second quarter of 2022. Seems oddly specific.
So they're basing this rumor on another company, Genius, I think is what it was called. Genius Optical, who it seems like is all of a sudden getting a lot of business around these lenses. So probably where they're going. It's going to
Look
be
at this drawing.
It seems kind of what's the word where you're going to take out your little brother, but he's not going to be riding a bicycle, but he is going to be wearing a helmet. Seems like that.
Oh, you like special needs kind of?
Yeah.
Oh.
I will definitely judge people I see wearing this. But I'll also avoid them because I know that they're recording.
Yeah.
And Apple has announced the new, last week we got the new Windows announcement. People weren't really that excited about that.
No.
That kind of was a big turd in terms of, will Apple get more? I think they did get a little bit more traction, but again, it doesn't seem to have the sort of gravitas that it did in recent years when they would announce these kinds of things.
Apple announces macOS Monterey, the next Mac desktop operating system. It's got all the privacy features and crap like that we covered in the government section.
Unless you're in China.
But it also has other features, like they're trying to get the whole app ecosystem thing working. So if you're on a desktop and you've got a mouse and keyboard, you can just put your laptop or your iPad near the computer, and your mouse and keyboard will roam to the other device.
I got to say, that does seem really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, something that you see happening, you're like, wow. But I wonder, because Apple, they famously, things work usually. I mean, they might work in horrible ways, but it work. The normies can totally get into it. You think that's going to be solid every single time?
Probably.
That pairing?
Yeah, but it's going to, the limitation will be like it'd have to know and that kind of thing. That kind of pairing already basically exists within like iMessage, but they got so far, they colored so far outside the lines with iMessage that like once you register your phone, it just uses your number as an identifier, and like the phone function of your phone no longer even matters with iMessage. And so there'll be an aspect of it that's like that, I'm sure.
You think it'll be able to do two iPads that are like in roughly the same place?
How does it know if it's on the left or the right of your screen?
That's a good question.
Does it, I don't know. It's in beta. I should go play with it. But the Mac operating system leaves such a bad taste in my mouth because it's almost not terrible, but then you have to it's like Apple spent money on this, and it's just, I don't know.
And a lot of money on it, no less.
Yeah, I would, Apple's got to be working like Nestle. It's like, I might be in a cool office in Sausalito doing some Nestle stuff, but somewhere there's some child labor going on, and they're suffering.
But the difference is Nestle manages to put out some amazing water with that slavery. It's a quality product.
And meanwhile, Apple is perverting the Unix ethos.
The other thing they seem to be doing is restricting features based on certain technology being in these machines. Now, they do have an excuse. I don't buy it at all. Because there's it could be that whole thing where they did it and they were like, you know what, this is not a good enough experience on this. That's the only excuse I can think of, because you could totally do these things.
Several macOS Monterey features are unavailable on Intel-based Macs. So some of those seem to be around like video acceleration and crap like that. Intel's excuse is like, we don't have the machine learning.
The neural, what do they call that? The neural something?
Neural engine.
Neural chip.
Yeah.
That's the excuse. That the neural chip does not exist in the Intel-based Macs, and because they can't lean on that, they can't give you these features, and here they are.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's somebody inside Intel screaming right now. It's like, we tried to convince Apple to go with Nirvana. We tried, which is Intel's thing. And Intel, it's like, we tried putting AVX 512 in our mobile products, which, part of the reason is the whole AI inference training thing. Nobody wants to use AVX 512 in laptops. It's kind of funny.
Explain this one based on the neural chip.
Unlimited keyboard dictation previously limited to 60 seconds per instance.
So you can do it for 60 seconds on an Intel chip, but not forever. Do they get too hot?
I have had people complain about stuff like that. Like, I was on a project where it wasn't anything that I was doing, but like one of the complaints was the web page makes the MacBook fans run really high, and it's like, well, yeah, that's what happens when you don't use request animation frame. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
And we learned last week that the European Union is working on those union-wide digital IDs. And it's not just going to be an ID, it's going to be a wallet, and it's going to be all these different things. And I think Apple has known about this for a lot longer than we have.
Apple Wallet will support IDs and driver's licenses in iOS 15. What do you think the over-under is? They've already talked to the feds about this, and it's like, this is all the people that are enrolled, and it's going to be, you know.
I think, can't you already do, I know you can do insurance digitally.
Yeah.
I think you can do a license, international driver's licenses. There's a great video on YouTube, and it's this guy from, like Arab Emirates or something like that. And he's clearly just the richest guy in the world. And he's in this insane sports car. And some yokel cop from like Arkansas, he's touring the country. He's driving through the country, pulls him over, and he's like, "Do you have a driver's license?" He's like, "Oh, yes, sir, I do." Takes the steering wheel off the car. Because it's such an insane sports car, he can't move around without taking off the steering wheel. And he gets out his international digital driver's license, and that cop goes insane. This isn't real. I'm taking you in. And when he finally gets to the point, he's like, "Sir, please call your supervisor." The guy's like, "I don't have time for this." Just marches off. Scan out. I already have digital driver's license. If you really want one, you can get one. Did we do the headline yet?
We did.
Oh, okay. Got lost in my soliloquy there.
Happens to me all the time. It's fine.
Apple has also announced some new, like you mentioned, mostly privacy-focused stuff. This is another one.
Apple announces iCloud Plus with privacy-focused features. Yeah, that's really cool. You know what's one really cool feature none of these headlines or articles covered is if you're doing a migration and you don't have enough space, they'll give you, if you bought an Apple device, they'll give you enough space so you can move your stuff. That was cool.
How kind of them.
Yeah.
They did say that existing paid iCloud users are going to get this for the same monthly subscription price, which makes me think new users are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this is just a randomly generated email address and some other features like that.
But it's an email address that changes every time.
Yeah.
So you can.
One place reported you could also use Apple's email with your own vanity domain now, which would also be a pretty big deal. But I looked for a follow up on that, and I couldn't find it. So that's probably a developing thing.
If you hate Zoom and Teams and all the other alternatives, and you just love that Apple ecosystem, but you can't afford their products, good news.
FaceTime is coming to Android and Windows via the web. FaceTime becomes a Zoom alternative. So FaceTime, finally, there's a website you can go to, and it'll work, which is good, because Apple has to dog food their own web browser APIs, which are basically awful. So that'll be good.
Even works on Intel chips.
Surprise.
Facebook is getting into the smartwatch area, and I gotta say, this must be one of those things where they scraped the data and figured out what people wanted, because I think people will want this.
Yeah.
I think they found a feature that is ridiculous, but will be a big seller.
Facebook plans the first smartwatch for next summer with 2 cameras and a heart rate monitor. A detachable display with cameras for capturing video without your phone. So like something's happening, you just grab your watch face, pop it off the watch band and hold it up like this, and it's a miniature camera.
Now did you get the impression that was wireless?
I did.
So there's going to be 2 batteries. Do you think the shuttle battery will just leach off the main battery?
Probably.
And charge itself back up? What do you think the runtime is on a
15 minutes at most, probably.
Yeah.
Also, how much of a shock hitting it before that thing falls off?
I think that people will hit a bump on the subway and all the phones will explode off. Do you think? What do you think about the artwork here? Because the first time I saw it, it looked like somebody that was looking at microbes under like a microscope, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of an interesting subtext." But I don't know if that's what it actually is.
It looks like just wheels, but
if you zoom in, what are the little scribbles?
let's
that's what you're
inspect
calling
this image.
Is that just the gears inside a watch?
Yeah, you know how like in grade school you would look at like pond water under a microscope and there were all the little amoebas and flagella and everything like flying around. It looks like that, except it's Facebook watch.
No, but I think it's watch parts.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's gears.
But I think my imagination is just filled in the gaps so much better.
Kind of a weird image. It's not very clear.
Do I not have a
Yeah, it's fine. It could be worse.
We'll get to the bottom of this.
I zoomed in on it. It's definitely like they look like gears.
Yeah, little watch pieces.
Okay. Interesting.
Little flywheels and gears and stuff like that.
Okay. Spooky.
I've never heard of this before. You ever heard of this before?
Nope.
It's an interesting concept. The picture here is actually, it's much smaller than that. This shows the full package. There's a speaker attached to this, but it's a tiny little thing. This is a 1-bit gaming system. 1 bit.
Playdate, the console with a crank, gets a July pre-order for $179 and game details. So you crank the crank, and that's part of the magic here.
Yeah, I was thinking that was like, oh, I'll charge it up. Let me get some playtime. No, that's a controller.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's actually less exciting to me because I was like, oh, it's like a crank radio. So
No.
if you were out somewhere without power, you could.
Nope.
Here's a better picture of how small it is. There are no third-party games, only first-party games, and they have they're going to give you 24 of those in season 1. I don't know if you keep those in season 2. Do you? Maybe, I don't know.
Why would they take them away?
But I think they are. Oh yeah, they're making a dev kit, so you might get some third-party stuff later. But it's definitely not going to. I mean, even the simplest game is not going to run on this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From x86 or Android or whatever.
Yeah.
You think you get Pixel Dungeon on that? Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
But the
Pretty hard to
browser-based,
see.
I think it's pretty genius having the dev kit be browser-based because it's like if you really are interested in it, you can simulate one of these in any modern web browser because it's so many orders of magnitude more powerful.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting when the browser is better than the gaming system by default.
Even Safari.
It also means that people will pirate those and put them on the web, and you won't need that little thing.
Yeah.
And you can play it on that other device that's in your pocket. That
Is a phone.
Yeah.
You already have.
No crank though. You got to emulate the crank. And Stadia, remember that?
Stadia what now?
That's somehow still around. What are they doing? Well, they're desperately trying to get it in front of people's eyes.
Google Stadia heads to Chromecast with Google TV, Android TV, and other devices on June 23rd. Why didn't they launch with this? Literally, I think in like Linus's video or something, they were doing that immediately with a phone, and it was like, why can't I do this? Why?
I'm a little bit worried because, as we will see later, Microsoft is doing the same thing.
Yep.
I'm worried that we're going into a world of exclusivity based on brand. Because as you can see here, certain brands have already joined Team Stadia, and Walmart, Philips, Xiaomi, Nvidia, and Hisense. But other products are giving Xbox. There's no exclusivity yet. But, I mean, what have we seen so far in the console world?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of exclusivity. That was one of the things, one of the games was a couple of years ago at the E3 demo was this is going to be massively multiplayer, but different people will have different roles in the game.
They've tried that several times.
Yeah.
The problem is one role is considerably more desirable than all the other roles.
Yeah.
Who wants to be infantry when you can be sniper? Well, this is a headline that shouldn't surprise anybody. That the old shortage, everybody's getting whatever they can.
US PC shipments soar 73% in the first quarter as Apple falls from the top spot. I would love to know what percentage of that is people buying PCs just to get a GPU.
HP has taken the top spot. And congratulations, I guess. It's funny because, Apple, don't you think with the M1, they have one of the strongest offerings they've had in a long time?
Yeah, they
And
really
people
do. It's surprising.
People are not interested in it. I mean,
Well,
they're still interested in it.
Yeah, but they're not like, selling it 2 or 3 to 1.
Now, a common phrase, and you can fill in whatever group you want here. I won't give you a group because that might be insulting to some people, but beware of X bearing gifts. And I think giant dystopian megacorporations fits very snugly into that X.
Walmart will give 740,000 employees a free Samsung smartphone because a lot of what a lot of what Walmart is going to be doing is going to depend on the logistics of being able to track their employees, get a hold of them immediately, do the messaging. Walmart actually has a lot of technology in store for like talking to a cashier and like push to talk and like one button radio. I think the vision is that they're going to replace all of that, and all of that is more expensive than a smartphone anyway. I mean, what sense what world does it make sense that you've got a walkie-talkie basically that costs as much or more than a modern smartphone? Why don't we just give everybody a smartphone, put it on the corporate network, put some corporate applications on it. You do your clock in, clock out, you do your inventory, you do all your stuff from that one device. Big cost savings, and nobody can complain about having to do all of that tracking because we give them the phone.
Now, here's one you're not thinking about. And this one is a little bit insidious, but I guarantee that it was considered. Are you going to buy an extra phone if they give you this phone?
I think a
Not
lot
on
of
a
the
Walmart salary.
Yeah.
And this phone, by design, won't let you do anything but work during work hours. So it's a top-down control.
Imagine like you're on your break. You had to take your break late one day, but so like your schedule's not quite right. And it's like, oh, you can't look at your phone right now. But it's like, but I'm on my lunch. And it's like, no phone.
Or something weird happens, like there's a blizzard or ice storm or something, and they close the store when that one of those rare occasions, and you're sitting at home trying to get weather updates, but you're technically supposed to be working.
The phone's like, no, I need to call 911 because the customer has collapsed, and it's like, back to your register, pleb.
So yeah, they said those phones retail for like $400. I bet. What do you think Walmart paid? Like $100 each, if
Probably, yeah, not even.
that?
Yeah.
Those were already in a warehouse somewhere, and Samsung was like, well, I guess if you don't really care about the specs too much.
And they're not great, but like you say, on a Walmart salary,
Yeah.
that's nice to have. What's up, Christy? You got a problem back there?
My camera.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Oh,
there you go.
So
You're
it's back.
Yeah,
It's
welcome
back. I fixed it.
We missed you so much.
Oh.
And this is a story that I learned about 10 minutes ago. So I don't know much about it, Christy. Why don't you tell us about it?
Crossplay is coming to Overwatch. Ew. This is not a feature anybody asked for.
this is why that guy left, isn't it?
Well, they also announced recently that they're switching the game from 6v6 to 5v5. And then right after they announced that, they announced this, and everyone's like, this is why Jeff left, isn't it?
How many different... so you have it on their PC platform, right? Is this on... What other consoles is this on?
On like Xbox, PS4, and the Switch. The Switch has it, which I don't understand how that would be a good experience
Switch-
at all. But
The Switch version is probably dumbed down a little bit graphically, right? Well, I guess not. That's old enough that they probably run that. So can you opt in or out of this?
I think you can if you're a console player. But PC, like, no, it's just if you're in playing quick play, you might have a console player in your game.
Won't this make you much more dominant?
Yes, probably. That's what everyone was like, well, is that going to be unfair? And the answer is probably yes. But also, I think console players might get aim assist as well.
Well, that's not fair.
Yeah, so I don't know how it's going to work exactly. Probably not well, but yeah, I wasn't thrilled to see that.
What about Overwatch 2? Seems like we've been waiting a long time for that.
There was the game, I can't remember, the Summer Game Awards, or not awards, but it was like an event thing that was happening earlier this week, and they did like a brief thing about Overwatch, and everyone was really excited, and they're like, oh, they're going to talk about Overwatch 2, and they just showed 2 skins.
Oh, were they good?
They were fine. Like, they were okay. It was not really the information I wanted to hear, but...
Well, Krista, think about this. Think about how exciting this is. Not only could someone maybe be playing Overwatch with you on an Xbox, someone could be playing Overwatch with you on a toaster or a TV or a refrigerator.
Microsoft is building its own streaming devices as part of a major Xbox Game Pass expansion.
So we learned about the Steam Pal. What a terrible name that was. NVIDIA's got the Shield. Didn't somebody else announce one? Well, Stadia's kind of like that.
Nintendo literally has the Switch, which is like the best-selling video game console in history.
But that's not. This is when all the work's being done on the server.
Yeah.
So you can run it on crappy stuff, and that'll make they'll have even worse latency, Krista, and you can dominate them so much harder.
And that's what it's about. Can you imagine playing this like any sort of game on a fridge, though? Is that a use case anyone will ever do? But it'd be funny if they did.
You got to use the little levers for the water and the ice.
Yeah, you're just pouring it all over your kitchen floor, but you're winning so hard.
This is a nonsense article, but the thing I liked about this article is he pointed out, he was like, they're kind of doing better. Like they've kind of been moving in the right direction, but clearly somebody at Microsoft just can't help themselves. They have to do this.
Microsoft is annoying Windows users again, and they can't take it anymore. You can see why Microsoft does this. You can also see why they shouldn't, or should, but maybe just do it in a different way. So this is, of course, in reference to everybody getting the calendar weather news widget at the bottom right-hand corner of their start bar.
And it's
involuntarily.
And the message center is now telling you that one of the things you need to resolve is you need to start using Bing.
Yeah. In a sort of condescending way. There was somebody that commented on this article, or maybe the article mentioned it, was like, I was already using Bing as my default search engine, but I guess because I had more than one browser, it wanted to be Bing in all of them.
Let us help you uninstall Chrome. Now, can you think of any reason why someone wouldn't use Bing?
Oh, I can think of several reasons, not the least of which is it's crappy.
But this one, you can file this, and actually we had more than one instance of this year. This was when evil government got in bed with evil corporation, and they accidentally did too much. Like they were requested to do one thing, and they're like, yeah, I'll do that, but just because of a technical error.
I've definitely experienced this. Like this request comes in at like 4:00 on a Friday, and they're like, you have to do this before the weekend. And it's like, this is not planned. This is dumb. Like this is not like your poor planning does not constitute a crisis on my part.
There should have been one more equal in that database query. You need to add one more filter to this.
Bing censors image search for Tank Man, even in the U.S. So we recently had the Tiananmen Square anniversary, and somebody noticed that if you search Tank Man on Bing, even in the U.S., you didn't get this result, which is,
In fact, you didn't get any results.
There are no results
like,
for Tank Man.
Not even pictures of tanks. Just says, we can't find anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Tank Man is it somehow sexist if Tank Girl gets returned, but Tank Man does not get returned?
Tank Girl was a superhero.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's disgusting, and they should be ashamed, but they're probably not. We talked about, I don't know how long ago it was, but it was these businesses, and I wasn't really aware of this, where they will post slander about you, and then you can pay them to take down said slander. But they have this big network, and it propagates, so it just gets worse and worse the longer you let it go. And thank God our glorious leaders, our tech leaders, are doing something about it.
Google seeks to break the vicious cycle of online slander. In response to the Times articles, the search giant is changing its algorithm, part of a major shift in how Google polices harmful content. One thing this article, at least I don't think the New York Times, I was struggling a little bit with the paywall, but I don't think the article mentioned that now for certain kinds of content, Google also doesn't require a court order. So if there's something like this that you're a victim of, you can just do the Google opt-out thing, and they will remove it even without a court order. Like they'll actually look at it.
And you're going to be able to register with them in some way and say, hey, I was a victim of this at this time, because it tends to happen over and over. And if you're on that list, you're apparently going to get fast-tracked for future removals.
Huh.
So
this is also really similar to some of the stuff that the EU has already made Google do. So yay for infrastructure reuse.
Maybe. We'll see. Browser plugins are constantly showcased on the security section of this news broadcast because they are
a dumpster fire.
It's one of the most insecure things you can do. I'm terrified of them. Every time someone recommends a browser extension in the comments, I just chuckle a little bit. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll install that. Sure. Right. And they claim that this is going to fix it, although it's not as like cohesive as you would think.
Yeah.
They're still kind of all going to do the same, what they want to do.
Apple, Mozilla, Google, and Microsoft form a group to standardize browser plugins. Really, what's happening is Apple is very terrible with the performance and organization in their browser, and hopefully Mozilla, Google, and Microsoft are going to be able to use Apple's browser to be less terrible on the Apple platform, because the performance is so abysmally terrible on Apple platforms for their own integrated browsers.
I don't think we will get a universal app code type of thing, but it should be closer if you want to make one for every different kind of browser. We'll see. Did we talk about this last week?
We did.
I thought this
But
came out.
This is a new article.
This is June 7th.
Yeah. This article is talking about how this is why Jeff Bezos relinquished some of his executive roles, because one can imagine the board and the shareholders are like, "You're doing what now? That seems awfully risky."
A slight risk.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos plans to travel to space on Blue Origin flight. So, he's been dreaming of traveling to space since age 5, he says.
His brother is going to go with him, and a mystery seat that you could get.
Wow.
Bidding at the time of this article, which was on the 7th, was at $2.8 million.
Good Lord.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if it was Musk?
2.8 million seems like a steal, given that I've seen some NFTs go for like $11-12 million.
They're on the launch pad waiting, and as soon as the rockets ignite, Musk just rips off his harness and starts bashing things. You'll never get up there.
So, Jeff Bezos has children, right?
Yes,
Okay. He's got heirs to the throne who will stay on Earth.
but I don't think he's grooming them for that.
Oh.
I think he's.
What
one of
happens
those-
if something happens when he goes up there?
I think he's kind of like a Tywin Lannister type of personality. He plans to rule until he dies, and then who cares? I was very excited about this, and then I got to reading about it because I was like, oh, how are they possibly doing this? And then you learn that the secret is transistors. They're using transistors. We can't be wasting transistors on this. Don't they know there's a shortage?
Engineers at MIT have created actual programmable fibers. So they've demoed, there's the fibers, but then there's also a demo where they wove it into a sweater. And you just,
Look at all that excitement. So these little squares here are the transistors woven in. And so they're saying you can store data in this, and it can also be be used as sensors. Like a temperature sensor would be trivial here, obviously. I can't help but think of the Uyghurs.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, hey, you're only working at 30% of your heart rate. Demerit.
or Uyghur sympathy detected.
It's so sad that we get this amazing tech and our first thought is supply shortage and how will this be used to track slaves. That's so sad.
Sad but realistic, I would argue.
Yeah.
You know what else is sad, Krista? It's talk about the worst possible PR move. And once again, this is a giant tech corporation bowing to communists, but accidentally going too far. Exactly the same as the China story.
Uber offers to pay for its drivers' health insurance and then yanks it away. And it wasn't really like a full health insurance. It was like a partial benefits thing.
But you could get like $1,300. That's not bad.
But then they said, oops, we didn't mean to do that. We don't know what happened. Don't do that.
So it turns out that was only for California.
Ooh.
Yeah. Accidentally sent that to everybody. And you can see here, look at the email with this beautiful header image and the call to action button. It's like, oh, we love you. And it's like, ooh, just plain text. By the way,
Oops.
not real.
Yeah.
We're not really doing that. You think anybody ran out and it's like, I can finally get some teeth. Now they're just stuck with that bill.
I think somebody just read that and would just quietly contemplate the sadness of their existence.
Yeah. I'm sure there's plenty of time to do that when you're driving Uber and Lyft. Probably a lot of introspection in that driver's seat.
See, the crazy thing is that should be a reasonable living. And it probably would be as a co-op.
Has been since the invention of the automobile.
Yes, and it's like it's somehow perverted into this like awful conglomerated thing. Like that doesn't even make sense. Don't do it. Not don't drive a car. Don't give randos most of the value of your time working. It doesn't make sense.
There was a bit of an internet outage. It only lasted for an hour. I didn't experience this. Was this during the workday?
It was like 4 o'clock.
Yeah, okay. So I didn't even notice, but a lot of people did, and it's hilarious when they finally figured out what caused it.
Twitch, Pinterest, Reddit, and more go down because of a Fastly CDN outage, and it was resolved after about an hour. So it turns out that there was a bug that was lurking in Fastly CDN. One of Fastly's customers was trying to make a change to their infrastructure, botched it somehow, and that created a cascading failure across all of the Fastly properties. Whoops.
It's definitely going to be some code review to figure out who's to blame for that commit.
Someone's ass getting reamed as we speak.
Or someone's looking into those new unemployment benefits as we speak.
Or the FBI is about to announce the arrest of a new moron that was instead of taking out an Amazon data center that a bad code commit.
That guy did more damage by mistake than the Amazon bomber. Well, Bitcoin had a big year in 2020, and we are now learning about the tax implications of all that and which countries sold the most.
Yeah, Americans pocketed $4 billion in Bitcoin profits in 2020, analysis reveals. Now, I think they mean cryptocurrency profits, not just Bitcoin, because this is based on tax data and what people have actually declared on their tax returns.
And this is only realized gains. If you are just sitting on unrealized gains, it doesn't count toward this. So, it's a lot of money. A lot of money for the plebs. Netflix, I feel like Netflix might be languishing a little bit. What have they done recently that's really good?
The Crown.
Is that recent?
Well, they did a new season, like, I guess a year ago. So they probably have another one in the works, but...
But they are thinking about getting into that gaming thing, which I don't know about that. That sounds really good, ridiculous. And this, which I guess I'm not a collector, but maybe some people are. So far, it's only anime. Maybe that'll be big.
Netflix plans to hawk popular items from popular shows. So like the set pieces and decorations and like screen used whatever, you can buy that now. Some of it.
And they're making action figure lines and stuff for those animes. I guess those are animes that they produced.
Did you see they're bringing back He-Man and the Masters of the Universe?
They already did that.
No, there's a new one coming. It's going to be anime style.
No, they already did that.
It's out?
It was like 2006 or something.
Oh.
And it was ridiculous.
I think something new is coming.
It was awful.
Do you consider that canon?
No, God, no.
No. They're supposed to be making an anime show about Rohan as well, Helm Hammerhand.
Is that like the war for like all of the tribes of men war or whatever it was?
No, it's Helm Hammerhand was one of the kings of Rohan who like there were rumors that he like ate his enemies and stuff. It's actually a pretty cool story in the appendices, but it would be like a very short show. I think it would just be about one piece of Rohirric history.
Did he in fact have hammers for hands?
No. He did crush an enemy's skull though.
All right, well, that checks out.
I've definitely been that angry sometimes working on the Linux kernel.
That's that Masters of the Universe show that they did. The moment I tuned out, I remember the moment I tuned out. They got into like there was a fight, and they started just like spinning their weapons, and it was like, the spinning and spinning and spinning. And I was sitting there, I was like, okay, yeah. And then they started like jumping around, spinning, jumping. About a minute of that, I'm done.
Did they start yelling out the names of their attacks too?
Anime garbage.
That sounds suspiciously like Dragon Ball Z because somebody was trying to get me into that, and some stuff like that was happening there, and I was like, I'm done.
Let's power up for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I
hate that.
Thrilling stuff right there. It's gonna be a good comment section this week. We learned last week. And this week, here he is, the man, the legend, is telling us about, we learned about Google using AI to better chip fabrication. And now, thanks to the god of press, Kyle Wiggers, we get even more details about it.
Google used reinforcement learning to design next generation AI accelerator chips. So we had the TensorFlow chips, and then we had the TensorFlow like 2.0 chips, and these moved ahead of GPUs and everything else. Now, just like the AlphaGo thing, they're using AI to design new AI chips. So this is like what they did with AlphaGo, except for new silicon. And goodness gracious, this is incredible for what is technically a 4th generation product.
I'm terrified that we're going to get to a place, with the war breaking out with China or whatever, and we lose this, but we still have the chips.
Yeah.
And then it's this situation where it's like Thundar. There's some technology left, but we have to be so careful with it because we can't get back to it. Volkswagen has some new plans in terms of self-driving, and bad news, it's the subscription model. It seems like the car companies are looking at a way to make you pay for all the things that are already in your car.
What would you pay for autonomous driving? Volkswagen hopes that that's $8.50 per hour. What an incredible way to monetize this.
That's higher than the minimum wage here in the U.S.
We're not going to use it all day.
Yeah, and it won't be by the time it. I'm sure that if this comes to pass, using AI for those types of jobs will only cost somewhat less than whatever the minimum wage is.
Well, I think based on the consumer price index lately, $8.50 might be, like enough to buy one slice of bread. So maybe it won't be so bad.
Yeah.
They also talk about putting in like performance modes and stuff like that. So if you want to drive fast, but just while you're having fun, you could turn it on for an hour, pay the fee as it's running, then turn it back off while you don't need performance. Still seems crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
someone will do it though.
You think if you forget and leave that switch on, are they going to refund you?
No.
You can park it overnight?
No. You're going to.
Oh no, self-driving. Car might not have been moving, but self-driving was technically on. Here's your bill.
Thanks, Amazon. That EC2 instance was booted up. It doesn't matter that you weren't using it.
And that is our first story in robot, and we have another major robot milestone here.
Drone refuels U.S. Navy fighter jet in midair for the first time. So the pilot was in the jet, not the drone.
It was a F-18 and what kind of drone was it? Stingray drone. It had a lot of fuel on it. It was, how many gallons do you remember? 500 pounds of fuel.
Wow.
That's a lot of weight for a drone to be carrying around. What happens if they lose control of that? That's a bomb.
It's more like napalm, but yeah.
That's that jet fuel, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it'll just burn and burn
pretty
and burn.
flammable.
Mix in a couple lithium batteries. Yeah.
This is not the first we've seen of these. MSN seems to be treating it like it is. We've definitely seen these before, but we have a new one. The capacity leaves a little bit to be desired, I have to say.
Sidewalk-traveling robots are here, aiming to deliver restaurant meals on the cheap while being cute. They're 18 inches tall, and they've got a little flag, and they'll obey all of the stuff. They don't move too fast. They try to stay out of the way.
Scroll down in this article. There's a picture of it, like with its little eyes on. Why does he look so angry when they're removing the food?
He does look angry, doesn't he?
Yeah. Don't touch my food.
Make better food choices.
This is the third time this week you've ordered pizza.
No, Krista. You will not be ordering pizza in this unless you like it folded
Yeah, so it
twice.
is small.
Because they have said that one of the things that people complain about is, look how small that is.
Yeah.
If it
You get a personal pan.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they could make like a little clamp to hold the pizza box, but then that would tempt people to just take the pizza.
Or birds. Or dogs.
Rue would love some stolen robot pizza.
How long, assuming that some of that smell could get out, which I imagine it probably can, how long would Rue chase a delivery robot?
Probably a long time. She would be very interested in getting inside of it. Imagine if somehow, in some weird scenario, it ends up in Eastern Kentucky and then the bears get into it.
Yeah. I don't know if Rue could pry it open, but I bet a bear could.
Yeah.
I bet a bear could, yeah.
Well, this is another one of those things where it's like, yeah, we're still enemies with China, but God, this is convenient. They have some good products. What are we going to do?
The U.S. Pentagon changes its mind about DJI drones. The Pentagon has cleared only 2 drone models so far, the Mavic Pro and the Matrice 600 Pro, after allegations of they pose a security risk. So I don't know. The article doesn't really dig into it, but it seems like the security audit uncovered incompetence rather than malice in terms of the lack of security in the software and operating systems on these devices. They don't become like a spy beacon, but they're not especially securely written either.
But I bet there's all sorts of like U.S. geological and infrastructure and the like bridges and roads crews who are like, guys, come on.
We need this.
We have to use these now. This is the new way we do this.
Yeah.
Self-driving, I don't know. I don't feel like we're seeing as many self-driving headlines as we used to. It's really tapered off. But it seems like in the trucking world, they are still trying to move forward.
Ooh, self-driving Waymo and those kind of trucks are hauling loads between Houston and Fort Worth. The Class 8 trucks will still carry a driver and Waymo technicians for safety, but probably not for long.
Yeah. After 6 months, they'll pull those people out of there.
Yeah.
And it is it's just like the whole warehouse to warehouse thing. It's always the same route, but still impressive.
I wonder, I know we have a few truckers in our audience. I wonder what their thoughts are. It's like, if you get to be that driver, and it's like you're almost in a way training your replacement.
Not even training it.
Yeah,
just babysitting it. Just waiting till it grows up enough to kill you.
And it's like, I wonder if you think like, well, future generations won't have to suffer as I have,
But if you've got kids
driving this truck, but yeah, it's like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Am I going to be taken care of?
Future generations won't suffer as you have because they'll be dead from starvation.
Do you think that that in this kind of a situation where there's a little bit of economic disruption going on, do you think there should be some kind of safety net for those people from the government?
We got safety nets. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult situation. I think you probably, if anybody answered that question, they would be guessing.
Yeah.
Because we don't know.
Yeah.
You know how the government said that inflation wasn't happening? And then they said it's transitory? And then there was the 4%.
4.27%. Thank you very much.
And that's the fake number, too.
Yeah.
The real number is probably well over 10.
Yeah, that's what it costs you to buy a gallon of milk, which is heavily subsidized anyway. Lumber? I've got a pile of lumber that has doubled in value in the last year.
But also, transportation is the #1 job in the country and has been for a very long time.
Yeah.
And truckers make up a very large part of that, but also like Amazon drivers and stuff like that. That's a lot of people to make angry all at once.
Yeah. To displace rapidly.
Like around here when, the coal mines all started going out, they didn't really do a whole lot for those miners, but they're also a much smaller proportion of the population. And people don't care about Appalachia anywhere. So it's like, they're probably like, screw them, but they can't really do that with truckers, right?
I'm just thinking, like, if you look at, like, let's say plumbing or electrician, to go from, like, the greenest noob on that to, like, just the most basic levels of, like, toward getting your certification, like your plumber's license or your electrician's license or whatever, that's about 3 years. And I don't see it taking 3 years to displace the vast majority of delivery people once the software is figured out.
Although, if inflation keeps going the way that it is, they might just take those drivers out of the cab, put them in the trailer with a gun. Because it's going to take it.
My anxiety's getting higher.
Remember Venezuela? Look at some videos from Venezuela truckers. Or South Africa. Good Lord.
Are you talking about that one where there was like the armored vehicle and the guy has to do the driving and the other guy has no idea what's going on?
That's South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was a boss. Like nerves of steel.
The other guy, not so much.
Have you seen the one where, so like later, they had the dash cam footage.
Yeah.
And they synced it up.
Yeah.
All those like hardcore shifts, and when he was just working that wheel, he was trying to kill them. He was driving at them. It's like, wow.
Well, I mean, that was a 20,000-pound vehicle. I mean, it's basically a tank.
Yeah, but I mean, I think most people, perhaps myself included, would be like, I need to get away from this situation as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But that guy was so hardcore, he was like, no, I'm going to drive into them.
Well, he probably
full
thought
Mad
that
Max.
they were going to chase him until
They did,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's just like, I have to deal with this.
That's who you want doing that job, for sure. And our final story about AI is a dystopian future that we're all going to be able to enjoy together.
Yeah.
Because even the poorest of us can experience this one.
McDonald's is testing automated drive-thru ordering at 10 Chicago restaurants. If you need a preview of this, all you need to do is watch the movie Idiocracy. They said the accuracy is about 80 to 85%, which rivals that of a live person at McDonald's. So, I mean, I guess that's fine.
Chicago is definitely the place you want to pilot this, though, because I imagine there's a lot of different kinds of dialects coming through that drive-through.
Hello, not sure. Would you like some extra big-ass fries?
Probably not a lot of enunciation in some of those missed orders. But now, they have said that they realize Chicago is way easier than spreading this out over the entire country because there's so many McDonald's.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a while, but they're definitely doing it. How long do you think until we get it?
3 years.
Yeah,
I'd say
it'll
2.
be many years.
Just barely not enough time to retrain those people into another profession.
Maybe we can put the fast food workers and the drivers out of work at the same time.
What could possibly go wrong?
Great plan.
Nervous laughter.
Well, Krista, we've already gotten the garden update and the deer update. I don't know if we have anything else to talk about here.
No. Still very muggy and rainy here.
How's your level of fear and,
Just general anxiety about the state of the world.
yeah,
It's like a solid 7.
out of 10?
Yeah.
Does it ever hit 10?
Sometimes, like late at night when I'm trying to sleep. Usually.
Hey, the good news is that the bank is probably not going to be chasing you down for the mortgage with the collapse of society, so that's probably good, right?
Yeah, it's
Well, the beauty of, when you owe money in an existing contract, hyperinflation's your friend.
Yeah.
You'll be able to pay off that house with like a sack of flour.
I should start growing wheat.
There you go.
Maybe.
Some people are going to mishear that, and that's going to be some great comments.
Oh no, wheat.
See you Friday.